There's me and Taylor and you guys. I wish I could hear these guys. Can you guys unmute yourself? We outnumber you. Yes, you do, Henry. But can you, yeah, unmute yourself.
Good morning, Henry.
Thank you. That's so much
Good
better.
morning, Brenda.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That's okay. That's fine. Yeah. So you don't have to type the questions and we'll just talk to each other today. How's that? Does that work for everybody?
I do need to go. I need to go around 10 or quarter after 10 because I have an appointment at 11.
Okay. All right. Is this Wendy? Oh, that was Janice.
No,
Sorry,
this is Janice.
Oh, sorry, Janice. Okay.
That's okay.
All right.
Just when you're done, do you want to stop?
Yes. Okay. So today, I feel like I should be sitting on the other side of the table and facing you guys today. I have to turn around. I have to be able to see everybody. I can't. I feel like I'm to have my back to you now because we have the mic on. So today we're going to be talking about sell your listings, and I love this one because what happens with listings is that you get the listing, and CREA did a study about how people felt after the real estate transaction was over, and 80% of the people that they polled were not happy at the end of it. The biggest cause of them not being happy was the communication, because there is things. I'm going to tell you what page. I'm just giving you a little heads up right now because this was something that was told to me right away when I started real estate. So I tried really hard. I didn't want these stats to be me. So you have to be really careful when you go into a listing presentation and you've made these promises. We're going to talk about them today and say, well, how do I make sure that what I say I'm going to do? So one of the things that I do to hold myself accountable, and if anybody wants it, you should come up here, Taylor. I have to move Taylor because he's in the back of the class. One of the things that I've done, and if anybody wants one, you can just let me know, is I actually have a service cancellation guarantee. And I give that out, and I tell them that if I, at any time during this listing, don't follow my program, that they can let me out of the contract. I've never been let out of a contract for not following the program, but then in the next breath, I do tell them that I'm human. Everybody is human. Sometimes you forget something or you might be a day late. So don't set unrealistic expectations, but once you tell them I'm going to sign a guarantee in writing before I ask you to sign a contract, makes a huge difference with people.
Yeah, so, I would like to have a copy of that.
Absolutely.
Same here.
Yeah, just anything that you want that I have, just send me an email at brendak@brendak.ca and I'll send over whatever I have. So what we're going to do in this chapter is I'm just flipping through the first couple pages here now, is like I said, talk about some of the things that to get the listing, but also a couple of the tools that KW give you, which is kind of nice. And Taylor, they'd work in commercial too. Some of the things we're going to talk about today. Yeah, for doing commercial. Oh, I'm just flipping through. Okay, so page 5 is today's expectations. So we're going to discover techniques and advantages of staging a listing to get it sold. We're going to review the elements of the 14-point marketing plan, and we're going to learn the essentials of great service to sellers, and that's from the moment they sign the listing agreement all the way through to the closing and beyond. And we're going to study the strategies and tips for great communication and problem solving. And that's one thing, anybody can hire an agent that can tell them what the problem is. You need an agent that can recognize a problem, solve the problem, and then let the seller know. We had a problem and this is what we did and now it's all solved, right? So it asked me first to review mission assignments and get questions answered. I didn't teach the last class, so I'm not really sure what that's about. So if anybody doesn't mind, I'm just going to kind of move forward. Did everyone do their contacts and their phone calls and everything they're supposed to be doing? Yes? Anybody online did them? Everyone did them?
Yes.
Okay. How do you guys find, are they getting easier to do you find, as you go through the course?
I find it really depends on who you're talking to And I know that depending on who you talk to changes on how you approach it, whether it's somebody you don't know at all or somebody that you know really well,
Yeah.
determines, how you will approach that. But so I'm finding that some people I know really well, and then you're flipping to somebody that you don't know very well. So I'm still finding that is a little bit of ebb and flow, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it takes a little bit of time, I think, to really get into the groove of what you say for who.
That. And are you internalizing like your little scripts? Are you internalizing them first and practicing so that you're comfortable and the words kind of flow out the way Janice would say them?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Before I make the phone call, I'm saying, okay, so this is what I'm going to say. Okay,
Yeah.
So how I would say it, and this is, so what if they say this, then this is what I'll say. And so kind of doing that a little bit back and forth.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. That's what I used to do is if I knew that morning that I was going to, because I don't like making phone calls, cold calls. And in my previous sales world, I used to have to make a lot of initial cold calls to people to convince them to take my brand instead of somebody else's. And they're really difficult to do. And you can just literally trip over your tongue. Even the most experienced salesperson can trip over their tongue if they're not comfortable and they haven't really internalized what they want to say. So what I used to do is hang mine on my mirror. And while I did my makeup, I would tell myself, I would just say it over and over and over again. So as silly as it sounds, Henry, I'm sure it doesn't take you very long to put your makeup on.
It actually is interesting.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of interesting because I've done this in a previous life.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that because we are such a touched market, I literally treat everyone as a potential client. So everyone that I meet that I haven't said that I've been doing real estate with, did you know that I'm doing real estate now?
Yeah.
Or I somehow put it into if it's comfortable enough of a situation, it's sort of what Ann says, don't be the phantom realtor that nobody knows what you do.
Yes.
So technically you are touching on your 10 new contacts that day, but as soon as you do it that way, it takes a lot of pressure off you.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
How does that sound?
And sometimes the way you approach it, like, you have to know the person too. Like, well, most of you know, the ones you're calling in your sphere of influence, you're going to know them to a certain point anyways during this session. And there's certain points, as soon as you say, hey, I'm a realtor now, you can see the look in their face and they're running for the hills. They're like, oh God, she's going to try and sell to me today. Okay, handwritten notes. Handwritten notes is, to me, one of the most valuable things you can do with people. So, and you don't have to do it just for listings and that. If you're at you guys had the open house class already? I think? No? Okay. I'm not sure who's teaching the open house class. Probably Wendy? Okay. So during an open house, I have a guest sign-in book. And people sign my book. And I actually say to them, would you please sign into my guest book? I am going to take a minute and send you a thank you note. I promise I'm not going to stalk you. Because you know what? I'm not going to stalk them, and I am going to send them a thank you note. And they really have this aversion to wanting to sign that book and put their email in there. So that's going to do two things. It's going to give you some leads to put in your e-edge that you've met at an open house. And you want to make sure that when you're putting them in your e-edge or whatever database you're using, you always put your source of where you met them. So I could go through my e-edge right now and I could find John Clark in there and I can look and say, oh, I met him at an open house at 45 Samuel Daniel Drive 6 years ago. I think I'm going to call him today. Is he still living there? So I look on property online. Yep, he's still living there. And I call him. Hi, it's Brenda Kay. We met quite a few years ago in an open house. You talked about selling your house then. The market's a lot stronger this year. What do you think? So when you put that where you met them, it's really, really helps you move forward to contact them. And the handwritten notes, I actually have thank you cards that I had made that you flip up. But all you need is, I heard Ann say, the dollar store ones. It's just a really quick note. And I just sit down on Monday mornings and say, thank you so much for dropping by my open house. It was great meeting you yesterday. If there's anything I can do for you, let me know. So it improves your sorry, Tanya, I have my back to you. so it improves your written communication too. I always handwrite them, and I always handwrite the envelope. So anything I send to a client, I handwrite. So, all right, page 11. Get your head in the game. So far you've worked hard to find the business and get the appointment. Now you've landed the appointment. You've demonstrated to the seller your value as their listing sales representative, and they signed the listing agreement with you. Now what? So it's time to act on what you promised your sellers in your listing presentation. It is more than just sticking a sign in the yard, and especially with all the viewpoints of the world and the FISBOs and property brothers and whatever property guys. It's even more hard now to say it's much more than just sticking the sign. I always tell people, you know, it's one thing to stick the sign in the yard, but really the big thing is the negotiation skills. You know, or someone will say to me, you know, I've sold 9 houses. And then you have to very tactfully say, oh, I've sold 800. So because people, they really want to think they know everything about it and it's really easy. So it's our job to not say we're better, we know more than you. We do know we know more than them, but we have to emphasize to them what are the strong points past sticking a sign on the lawn. So we're going to talk about some of those today. So doing the job well will also generate you additional buyers who will buy other listings and sellers who will see you as an effective listing sales agent. That's a line that I use in my listing presentation against other realtors. I'll give you that line later. Meet your seller's needs in a focused and communicative way, and then this will build your reputation as a top listing sales representative. So it used to be listings last. You need listings to last in this business. With DDX and Viewpoint, but especially DDX, it's even harder to do that. I typed in my listing at 78 Tamara Drive the other night. Sutton came up, Remax came up, Viewpoint went up, Point 2 Homes come up, and I think I was on page 2, number 3. It's crazy. So when I first got in the business, the buyer's calls all came to me because my name was attached to everywhere you saw the listing. So those days are gone. So what's happening with a lot of sellers now, their question is, how come you never show my home? So we'll talk about answering that question too. Any questions so far? No? Okay.
Nope.
Nope.
Sounds good.
Okay. So we're going to talk about getting the property ready, but on the Make It Happen, I'm on page 12, Make It Happen, marketing your listing, it's got the word fiduciary duties there. The one thing that I do is right in my listing presentation, the fiduciary duties are there. In a buyer's presentation, the fiduciary duties are there. So if you can't rhyme them off at the top of your head, disclosure, confidence, confidentiality, obedience, loyalty, and accountability, then get used to doing it and use it in your presentation. A good way to remember them is to think of the acronym DC COLA. So if you think DC COLA, you'll never forget them. So, so person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between 2 or more parties. So I let people know, first I explain what the fiduciary relationship is and how I'm held accountable for every single thing I do for them. And we talk about money further on, and I'll tell you about that. Staging the property. Think about buying a car. When you look online and you see a car, we talked a little bit about Monday. Like I would say to people, I would say, sorry, I just gotta, okay. I would, just let me find my place here. I said on Monday about you kind of know when a man was the agent and took his own pictures. No offense to the men. Dish towels, dish rack I've seen. Honestly, like there's times you can see dirty clothes on the floor. It's terrible. We've all seen those pictures. So what I tell people is staging isn't, everyone thinks staging is just decluttering. They tend to take it very personal. It's way more than decluttering. The actual statistics show that staging homes sell in half the amount of time. So I had a home, this is what sold me on staging. I had a home in on Bellbrook Avenue. There was just a gentleman and his son lived there. There was no clutter. There was no personal pictures around. And I just couldn't sell it. It had been on the market and it showed well and it was, it was priced well. It was in a desirable neighborhood. So this girl had been trying to sell me her services. And I said, if you can do this house and show me that staging works, I'll use you every time I sell a house. So that would have been probably 7 years ago now, probably 7 years ago. She went in, she did her thing in the house, the next showing the house sold. I was shocked.
Wow.
She changed furniture around. She warmed it up. She added the touches that needed to be there. Unbelievable. And there was not one iota of clutter in that house. Not one personal picture before she went in. And what happened is it didn't feel homey. People weren't getting that warmth. They weren't getting that sense of, so Lisa's been with me ever since. So she does every house for me. So you don't have to, if you don't have, I pay for the stager, it's part of my program, but that takes a bit of going that you say, okay, I'm doing enough business, I can invest that in my listing. Find somebody maybe that's starting out or they're looking to upsell their business and maybe they'll do it for you for $50 or $75 and offer a consultation to your client if you can't afford to pay for the whole staging at this point. And a lot of people will ask you, like the goals of staging are to present the best face of the home, maximize the spaciousness of the home, allow visiting buyers to envision themselves in the home instead of seeing the seller at every turn. So that line right there, you're not going to get the buyers into the home if what they see online doesn't attract them. So buyers will disqualify themselves whether or not they view a home online. So most of the time you're not going to get those buyers in there because what they've seen online is not, they don't like it. So that's one of the first parts of, remember we talked about the 4 P's of marketing? So this is the presentation part. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that what's online is desirable. That somebody's going to see something in there that says, I want. My biggest problem is the pictures sometimes look so good that people get in there and they say, oh, it's not quite what I thought it was. But I get them in there. So that's all that matters, right? Oh, sorry, would you kindly share Lisa contact info with me? Yes, 902-880-9842. And the other thing that when you go through, they're going to ask you for your opinion on things. One of the things that you want to do is, people will say to me all the time, well, I did this to my house and I did that to my house. I want to get my money back. I've owned it for 3 years and I did this and I did that and I did this. Did you do that as an investment to get more money from your property, or did you do that to enjoy that part of your home? You wanted that new kitchen. You love that new kitchen. Question, what are some of your quick killers? What do you mean, Henry?
What I mean by that is when you see something like this, when you walk into the house, you know it instantly is going to start a no experience for the buyer. Are there certain things that just raise red flags for you when you walk into a property and say, we got to take care of this?
Yeah, there are. Prior to Lisa, I had to learn ways to say things myself. Now I let Lisa do all the talking like that. But yeah, there are some quick killers, and what you have to do is you have to, when you're walking through their house, you're kind of making some little mental notes, and you don't want to, the worst thing you can do is when you're first walking through the house with them, don't point out the things that you think are not good. Make little notes, and after you're talking to them for a while and you've warmed up and you've made your presentation, and then you say, if you're at the point where you can't afford a stager, or at that time, you say, may I make a few suggestions to you I'm going to put my buyer's hat on. So from a buyer's point of view, can I make a few suggestions to you? Or I'll say to them, you know that commercial where we all go nose blind? Well, we go house blind. And I use that analogy, and we don't even notice anymore that that pile is there. I have a
Oh, so
pile.
true.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah. I have a pile of clothes on my chair in my bedroom. Yeah, it's been there for 6 months. I don't even notice it. I don't even notice it anymore. You know, when was the last time you looked at your baseboards, looked in the corners, looked in, so you say in a very nice way, let's put our buyer's eyes on. But you do that after you're comfortable with them. And it's not so much as, the other thing I say about staging, if people seem to get kind of, sometimes you'll go in and people, oh my God, no. If they're dead set against it, I say I completely respect that. We don't need to do it. And it will reflect in the showings. But I'll tell you a story about staging, another story about staging that really shows how true it is. I went into a house on Stratford Lane in Cole Harbour, and Lisa did her thing, and she suggested some painting. And one of them was, the kitchen looks pink, let's paint it. Oh, no, that's not pink, that's salmon. No, it wasn't pink. It was pink. Yeah. So 7 or 8 weeks into the listing, everyone loved the home, looked a little dated, blah, blah, blah. So I went into them and I had a talk and I said, not that I don't love the salmon. I love salmon. Can we paint this room? Because I said the worst thing that can happen is help sell the house. Can we do that? Yeah, we did that. The house sold after 3 more showings. Completely changed the look of the kitchen. It no longer looked dated. And that's what people saw. Nobody was seeing their brand new countertops. Nobody was seeing the new sink. Nobody was seeing the fancy taps from Costco. All they were seeing was a pink kitchen. And remember I said the other day, we have 3 seconds. In every single room a buyer goes in, you have 3 seconds to capture their attention. So, and depending on the person's personality, if they're a pessimistic person, or which most people are, an optimistic person, but they're going to look for what's wrong, not what's right. Isn't that terrible? But it's true. It's absolutely true.
Lisa,
The other thing when you're talking about if they say about staging the property and they find it overwhelming, or especially when you get an older couple, they're going to find it very overwhelming. I say to them, you know what, your home is so warm, it's beautiful, and you've built these memories over the years, and I respect your memories. I love them. We're just going to pack your memories up. Let's just pack your memories up. When we get you to your new place, you're going to unpack them again. That's all we're doing. And that seems to really, because that's all you're doing. Yeah. So, so the value of staging, again, I'm on page 14. How can staging bring higher offers? I'm going to be quite upfront. Staging no one's going to overpay for their house because it's staged. It's just not going to happen. What it's going to do, it's going to raise desirability. And that's a really good line to use with your clients. Raise desirability. And, and again, when you're talking to them and you talk, if they say to me, well, I did this, I want my money back. Well, you did that because you enjoyed it. That was part of your home and you wanted it. This wasn't an investment property that you fixed up and that you're turning over. So now you've enjoyed that. You're not going to get your money back, but you're going to raise desirability of a buyer and sell it sooner. And that's a huge thing. So according to most sales representatives, gardening and landscaping efforts pay off. Curb appeal projects are rated among the most valuable. Exterior home improvement projects. So you want your curb appeal to be really nice. As a listing agent, if somebody says to me, I've got $10,000 worth of gardening here, like, oh, look at my gardens, I spent $10,000 on landscaping. Well, you know what? That would send me running to the hills. I hate gardening. So you can't really place a value on stuff like that. And there are so many agents that will do that. They've got a $5,000 rock garden in their backyard. So you can actually lose buyers on that. So don't put too much value on something, but make your curb like that, like gardening, because it's specific to one person. It's like a pool. What's valuable to one person is an actual detriment to another person. But make sure the exterior is really pleasing. So I did a blog there a few weeks ago, and you know, you can simply, actually I think there's another one I worked on this week, the front door. Walking up to the front door, when you walk up to the front door, look down and around. See what their caulking looks like, see what the trim looks like. Is the paint flaking off the front door? Is there moss growing all over the thing? So there's a lot of things that, and that's when you talk to them and you've got your buyer's eyes on. And that's the way I put it after I'm with them. Are we good? Yep. Yep. Okay. Page 15. So we talked about the listing strategy. And so there's the questions. I don't see why this is important. Okay, best answer is not if you want to sell faster, not if you want to sell more money. We want to make your house desirable to the buyers that are shopping online, because we do not want them to disqualify themselves. And they will disqualify themselves on the internet, no question. We've all seen have you ever Googled funny real estate pictures or Googled bad real estate pictures? It's hilarious. I actually was looking at a house here a couple months ago, and 4 of the pictures were on sideways. Sideways. So obviously the listing agent, after it went active, he didn't check his listing. So unless their shower sprays their water against gravity, yeah, it wasn't going to work. So that's what we don't want them to see faults. And it says, we can sell, the next one is, do we really have to make this repair? We can sell it just the way it is, but it's likely to take longer, and we probably won't get as much money. My recommendation is to have it repaired so that we can get the best price possible in the shortest amount of time. A really good analogy for that one is, say it's painting, and you, like, because painting is really important, and Lisa will always talk about painting. So the home buyers are going in, they're looking at your house, and they really like it. They know they're going to paint it themselves. And they know it's going to cost probably $300 to paint it themselves. But they're not going to ask for $300. They're going to say, well, a professional painter's worth $1,000. Well, I want a $1,000 deduction for it. Do we want that to happen to your house? Normally the sellers tell me they don't, and we paint the room. Good answer? Boy, this is a really quiet class. Holy jumping. Why can't we sell the house as is? It's the exact same line as the other one. The market the listing. Has anybody ever, does anyone gone on to, that's online, or Troy, you're here now, have you ever gone on and printed off the listing presentation from KW? Have you, Troy? Is anybody there? Yes, Monica has. That is a great first listing presentation, and then take it and turn it into your own. Wendy, you must have a nice one from the years that you were in the business. Oh, Wendy's muted.
I need certainly some tips for improvement. I used to do this beautiful binder and such, and had a company do it for me, but I'm certainly looking for some new material.
So that was your listing presentation, Wendy, that you used to have in a binder?
Yes, yeah.
So if you, you know what, they used to have it in Pro, and they used to have it in non-Pro, but last night I could only find it in Pro. So if anyone ever wants to set up any time to sit with me, and because I have Pro, which is the $100 a month, I'll show you the different ones there is, and y'all download it and pass it over to you guys, and then you guys can play with it. So put your listings on the buyer's radar screens. Your 14-step marketing plan, which you presented to your sellers in your listing consultation, is designed to produce maximum exposure quickly and allow you to capture as many buyers as possible. So I have in big capital letters on my notes here, do not bullshit. Like, don't ever bullshit a client. Don't make a bunch of promises and I'm this and I'm all that, right? We talked about that the other day, is we're going to talk to them like, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, and you're going to get this from me. But again, don't throw it on too thick. Only tell them what you're going to do that you know you can do. And as it improves, that's fine. Because if you overpromise and underdeliver, you're done. Yeah. So price the home competitively with current market and price trends. Work on your CMAs. My CMAs can take me upwards of 4 or 5 hours. I study the pictures so long and so hard, I can tell you if grandma's slipper is poking out from under the bed. Like, that's how much I look at those pictures. And I make notes and I highlight and I go back and I do it again. And I have a spreadsheet that I use, and I do a plus minus of adjustments. And so, and the reason that I do that is when I sit down with the people and they say, what's the house worth? Because this is normally my second visit. I tell them, you're going to see at the end. We're going to go through each page and you're going to be able to tell me, because the numbers don't lie. The numbers are the numbers. It's just like the stock market. If the stock is worth $10, then I'm not going to pay $12 for it. That wouldn't be a good investment. It would, you know, and again, put back the would it. So I don't know who all was on here the other day, but I talked a little bit about the language of sales. One of the best courses ever developed was developed by KW. Sign up for it. It's awesome. Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing their home in the best light. Pictures. Don't take your own pictures. It's the worst thing you can do. You know, and again, for me, when I go on, I know right away, if you can't afford Sean, actually Sean's got a special on $99 right now. If you can't afford Sean, you know someone that'll do it for you for $50. Or if you're a phenomenal photographer yourself, that's fine, but get a professional to do it because it's so evident in the pictures. So place the for sale sign. Now this one here says with property flyers easily accessible to drive-by buyers. We don't do that. You can if you want, but we don't normally do it around here. Go to the commission, make sure you get some real estate arrow signs. What course did you say was so bad? It's called The Language of Sales. And if you go into your KW, I believe it's under KW University, you'll find when the next session is and what it is. It's a once weekly class. It's $99 a month, I believe, for a few months. Invaluable course. Respond to all buyers' inquiries immediately. I try and call back within 2 hours. And that's max. That's max with me. There's most times I've called back within 30 minutes. I don't know how many of you have ever, I know over the years, like even before I was a realtor, I would call and I wouldn't get a call back. Do you ever get that? Like before I was a realtor. I'd be like, why is this guy not calling me back? I called him about a house he has for sale. And you know what? There's people that tell me that still. Yeah, I called the listing agent, Brendan. They never got back to me. Right? So, and again, one of the things that you can do to market your listing with your client that makes you more valuable is, you know, you get all these top agents and they have their appointment feedback line. You don't need an appointment feedback line. I don't need an appointment feedback line. That's not what you've hired me for. You've hired me to sell your house. I book every single phone call myself for a viewing. And when I take the call, I upsell your house. And when I take the feedback, my last question to you is, you know, I mean, if it's absolutely a no-go, it's like, okay. But if there's even a speck, I say to them, is there anything we can do to entice your client to make an offer? So that's what sets me apart as a top listing agent than the other ones. And they appreciate that. And that's part of our job. So we have to do our job. Optimize the home's internet presence, posting the property in the Keller Williams listing service. Most people think that everyone goes on MLS or Viewpoint. And they have no idea that buyers oftentimes will type in Google homes in Porter's Lake. So if I have a phenomenal internet presence and they type in homes in Porter's Lake or they type in something and my name comes up and your listing comes up, it's way more than MLS. So, you know, and tell people that, you know, it's sometimes I've had people browse through sites, see a listing, and they weren't even planning to buy, and they call me, and they end up buying the house. Oh, geez, my God, I've been watching for something like that for 4 or 5 years. That's a really good, it's true too.
Brenda, do you use the Keller Williams listing system?
No, I don't. No, I've been doing marketing presentations for about 27, 28 years. So I have a pretty unique one. But I will sit down with anybody and help you build your own unique one if you want. At any time, you guys can just call me. So again, market the home on multiple websites, including your own site, the KW, and attract both local and out-of-town buyers. So the other thing that I tell listing clients is that 80% of the buyers that buy a home find the agent they buy it with from the listing sign hanging on the front lawn. And that's an actual stat, okay? My goal is to put that sign to sell your house, not to pick up buyers. Would you agree? And every one of my sellers say yes. They would agree. So I want to attract buyers to your listing. I don't want to pick up buyers on your listing. And you should see the look on their face when I tell them that. And we all know I want to pick up buyers. But you know what? I really want to sell their listing. I know I'm going to pick up buyers, but I really want to sell their listing. That's the job they've given me. And then create flyers and comment cards for viewers of the property. I showed everybody here my binder that I do. It's a nice basic binder. And again, you know, anybody that wants to see that, I put it in the house, and it's anyone, it costs nothing. It's $1.50 binder is all it costs. And you try and collect your binders up again too. You can reuse them, but it just is a nice colored page that says about our neighborhood. And then I go to Wikipedia, and the next page is about our schools. And then there's that. Then there's disclosure. Then there's the taxes. And there's this nice sheet, not the little tabs that stick out or anything like that. And I don't put the little postcards all over the house pointing out things people can see. You know, I just say to them, would you, and I also put the cut sheets in there on the left-hand side. I'll start with like 12 to 15 and just say and I have a remove your shoe sign. And you can make those, get them made. And I just say, look, when I'm booking a showing, would you lay this binder out on the table? Because we want to make sure if someone comes into your house and they like it, every single bit of information is at their fingertips. 99% of the houses that I show have no information in them. Not even so much as a cut sheet. Distribute just listed notices to neighbors, encouraging them to tell their family and friends about the house. If you have to walk them out, I don't do that. One of the reasons I don't is because especially when you first get into it and your budget's really super tight, and it's not so personal. So, you know, do the just listed cards up. You can get them on e-edge. You can come in the office and print 2 to a sheet for 8 cents. So it works out to 4 cents each. Walk up and down the street. Knock on the door, introduce yourself, and say, hey, yeah, I just listed this house down the street, blah, 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 blah. Okay? If, of course, a lot of them aren't going to be home, and you want to stick it someplace where you know that they're going to see you, what you can do is you can, you know, invest a little bit of money, and you can get them dirt cheap on the internet, some sort of little magnet shaped like a house with your name and phone number on it. If they're not home, stick the just listed notice to the door with your magnet. Now they got a magnet with your name and phone number on it, and they got a just listed sheet. Works out great. Target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in the neighborhood. You know, let them know. Now, see, again, I wouldn't use that line. And the reason I wouldn't use that line is I don't want to tell them there's other realtors that specialize in their neighborhood. I'm the only agent they want focused on. I'd probably skip that one, guys. Include the home in your company and MLS tours, allowing other agents to see it. If you take part in the tours, I think it's great. I actually don't do them myself, but they are good. If you're up against a company like Roll a Page that likes to stomp 80 people through your house on Tuesday mornings, and they say to you, oh, well, they're going to bring 80 people through my house to see it, 80 other agents. Here's my response. The shopping done now for homes, the 2 top ranking is the is the internet and your listing agent. Okay, as a top agent in the city or as a busy agent in the city, you can say it whatever way you want. I don't have time to go tour a bunch of houses on Tuesday that I don't have buyers for. If I have a buyer for your house, you know, I'm going to take that buyer to it. It really is one of the, it takes a lot of work. It puts a big pile of cards on your table, but it doesn't help to get your house sold. Now, if I take the time that all those agents would be tromping through your house, and I sit in front of my computer and I work on my marketing material that attracts buyers to your home, would that be okay with you? They all tell me yes. And they all don't care that we don't have 80 agents going to trot through the house on a Tuesday. Create an open house schedule and market and host the open house to promote the properties. Be really, really upfront. Open houses very rarely sell a house. Okay? And the only one that really makes a big difference is the first one. And sometimes people will say to me, oh, my neighbors will come through or this or that. Maybe they will, but maybe your neighbor has a nephew. So that never hurts, you know, to get them through. But the first Sunday or second Sunday that it's on the market, I like to do an open house there. But after that, if there's serious interest in the house, people are going to call you. Serious buyers are going to call you to see the house. So target active buyers and investors in your database. That is such a great line. That is such a great line that KW uses. And I used to use it. And I would say, you know, I spend an hour every day on the phone in my database, calling people, talking to them, you know, and aggressively looking for buyers for my listings. They love it. And that's what this course teaches. Provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing efforts, including comments from prospective buyers and sales representatives who have visited the home. Okay, feedback to your clients. It's huge. It's huge. How many times, you know, people will say to me, well, my last agent didn't call me. She used to say, if they're interested, they'll call. If you don't hear from me, obviously they didn't call me. That's a bad answer, a really bad answer. Okay, so what I do is I say to people, I have settings in my phone. Every morning at 10 a.m. it dings. And it says showing feedback. And every evening at 7 o'clock it dings and it says showing feedback. So twice a day, I know if I've had any showings within that time period, I'm going to call for feedback. I don't care that it was only 4 hours ago they showed the house. It's 7 o'clock, and I want to know if there's any feedback on the house. And if I'm chasing an agent, I let my clients know I'm chasing an agent. I advise them 6 to 8 hours after the showing or sooner and say, I'm chasing the other agent for feedback, and I will get it to you. So I had the worst experience when my last house, I did end up selling my house, but I decided, well, I'll list it with the agent that owned the particular company I was working for at the time. That was the worst service I ever had in my life. Honestly, I would have to call the feedback line and say, is there any feedback on my house? And I worked in that office, and I'd have to chase it. So not good. The updates and so on the updates, no fluff. Don't give fluff. And what I mean by fluff, don't call your clients and tell them where you advertise their house. That's not good. That's not giving them any solid information. And there are agents that's all it is to them, is they have an assistant or they have somebody just calling and giving fluff. Provide them with the information that they need that shows them that not only do you want to keep them updated in what's going on with their home, the viewings, the markets, but then also that you're studying it to say, what can I do here? Is it the price? Is it the location? Is there pictures? You know, what can I work on? Why did we have 140 viewings on MLS and we didn't have any showings this week? Big question, right? So that's why I mean by no fluff. A couple people emailed me the other day for that spreadsheet. So if anybody wants it, just send me an email and I'll give you the spreadsheet. They take time to do, but we want that information. That helps us do our job better. Any questions?
Brenda, what was the spreadsheet that you mentioned?
Wendy, it's a spreadsheet that, and Troy asked the same question here in the class. It's a spreadsheet that I developed with somebody else that actually it tells it says the date, it says how many days on market, how many new listings, how many listings sold, you know, how many viewings did you have on MLS, on Point Two Homes, on Kijiji, on My Visual Listings, how many agents looked at your house, right? And then you take that information, and as a good listing agent, you're going to analyze that information and say, okay, and sometimes it's a matter of price and patience. Well priced. The average days on market is 101. I just had this conversation last night with somebody. You know, we're well priced. We don't need to drop. The average market is 101 days in your neighborhood, and we've been on for 40 days. So we're not even halfway through the average listing period. All right? At this point, we don't need to say, do we need to drop the price? The pictures are great. We can't change the fact that it's a corner lot. And that's one of our biggest holdbacks on this listing. We can't change that. The only thing we can change is the price. But let's have a little more patience. Work for you.
That sounds really valuable, Brenda.
It is.
And hey, by the way,
Yeah. Hello?
oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were speaking to someone else.
Nope. What were you saying, by the way?
Brenda, your information is really valuable and very helpful. And in spite of possibly the lack of response, I think that, well, I can speak for myself, I'm certainly appreciating your information.
Oh, no
both
problem.
last session and today.
No problem. My pleasure. That's what we do at KW. So your turn. Marketing the action steps. So we're on page 17, and we've told people, like we've evaluated the property's feature through our 14th step. Now we're going to talk about pricing. Is the home priced properly according to the market comps? If not, is it too high, too low? What would make you think of this? Talk to them really clearly about pricing. And one of the things that is true that I tell my clients, that if you're overpriced on your listing and you should be 240 and you're 255, okay, and there's 6 houses priced in the 255 range on the street, they're going to go into every one of them. Of course, yours shouldn't be there because it's at the 240 value. So what are you going to do? You're going to help sell the other listings. You're going to make them look like a better value, right? So the buyer will always determine the value of your house. No question. It's the perception of value of the buyer. And at the end of the day, what they'll pay and what you'll accept are the final decision. And sometimes people say to me, well, if I don't get this, I'm not selling. Okay. All right. And that's your choice. I respect it. So you're going to stay in your house. No, don't stay in my house. I got to move. Well, we had a little bit of problem, don't we? Because you don't want to reduce your price, but you got to move. And a buyer won't pay your price. So you're going to have lots of those conversations. Signage must be placed accordingly to HEMI homeowners. That's fine. We don't have many of those. Staging. Was the house properly staged? What would you have done differently? How could you have proactively persuade the sellers? Like I said, sometimes you're going to get sellers. That's just them. Their home. I had one last year, and her home was perfect. She spent years decorating it. You know, it actually didn't sell. It was so cluttered and so crowded with all her stuff that it didn't sell. And when it came up for renewal, I chose not to renew it with her. So she went with another agent that listed it just as crowded at the same price. I had another one that didn't want to be staged, and their appraisal came in, and I said, I disagree, it's too high. And the suggestion was to list it for $950. I wanted to go $899. We settled on $925. This year they listed with a different realtor, and they listed at $950. Make sense? No. Market couldn't bear the price of $925. So why do they think the market will bear $950 this year? So if somebody says to you, I have an appraisal, An appraisal is only worth the paper it's written on. It's the math. It's just math. I could put different comparables and have a completely different value on an appraisal. The buyer doesn't care what the appraisal says. All he cares about is what he's willing to pay. So don't put too much emphasis on an appraisal. They're great. The military uses them all the time. I could tell you guys stories all day. So I had one was priced in Lawrencetown on Shepherd's Lane, $269.9, I said. Appraisal came in at $284. I didn't agree with the appraisal. I looked at the comparables. I said, they're nuts. It's not even the same neighborhood. You know, Shepherd's Lane off Doherty is not the same as Lillian Drive off Gammon Lake. But lo and behold, the client wanted $284. We sold 7.5 months later at $261. So had we been at $269.9 and started, not only would we have sold quicker, we probably would have sold for about the $264 range, because the value, the perception of value to the buyer would have been there. So arrange your images, review before and after activation. Remember the sideways bathroom from 3% Realty? No one heard that, right? Buyer profile. What is the buyer profile for your home you've chosen? Talk to your sellers about that. Say to them, let's talk about demographics. I'm going to gear my marketing strategy on the demographics of who I think are going to buy your house. And I mean that. I totally mean that. If I'm working with millenniums, everything's Facebook. It's Facebook, and it's paid Facebook, boosted ads on Facebook. Okay, that's where that demographic is, right? I'm not going to pay if it's for first-time home buyers, same thing. But then there's other places that I want it to go if it's somebody moving up to a second stage home, or, you know, am I going to do a Google ad on that one? Am I going to do a drone on that one and put it out on YouTube? So there's all kinds of different things. But know your demographic of who's going to buy the house, and let your buyers or your sellers know that you know your demographic. Okay? Any ahas? That's what it says at the bottom of the page. Any ahas from this page? If I'm talking too much, just let me know. I'm used to having more people in the classroom. Not that I don't like you guys, Troy and Taylor. Hold an effective open house. Again, do not mislead on the value of an open house to your clients. Don't do that. You ever talk to an agent, and Wendy, you've been in the business a long time, I'm sure you've heard this. I actually had an agent say to me one time, yeah, you know, I list it for whatever, 120 days, 4 months, 5 months. And I was telling, man, I just turn on those open houses the last 5 Sundays. I just burn them. Wow. Does that sound like it's any good to the client? He could have taken all that energy that he's going to spend for 2 hours at their house and been doing door knocking, doing all kinds of lead stuff. So don't mislead them on the value of it, okay? Do one when you first list. In the first couple of weeks, that's important. I have fewer and fewer people that want open houses from me. With Sunday shopping and everything that's out, I mean, David and I used to go to open houses for something to do. Lived in the same house for 25 years, but we always went to open houses, right? No intentions of ever buying. So watch what you say at an open house. Watch what you say. You never know who's walking through. Okay? This has never happened to me.
And is there,
Yep.
is there a certain day that you find open houses work better than others, or does it really depend on the area?
New construction, Saturdays, Sundays, if it's a really super busy area, maybe a couple afternoons during the week. Resale, Sunday 2 to 4.
Okay.
Sunday 2 to 4. I went past a place in Sackville the other day, Tuesday afternoon, there was an open house. And I knew right away, you know, this agent only has one listing, right? And this is the only way she knows how to promote it, right? Tuesday afternoon. Why would you do an open house? Yeah. He's an exit agent, by the way.
So you don't talk on a Friday evening, because I've heard of, and I know this is all in different places, but I've heard of different places hosting open houses Friday evening or Saturdays.
I've
But
tried them.
here, it's still,
Yeah, I agree. I've
Okay.
tried them. I had new construction on Claudia Crescent, just going back 5 or 6 years ago, and what happened was is on the old Sackville Road, right behind all these new houses, they rerouted them past my new construction. Yeehaw! A whole month they had to drive past my new construction. So boy, I sat there Thursday evening, Saturday, Sunday. And then I thought, oh, look how much traffic. Oh, well, I'll do a Tuesday evening. I'll do a Wednesday evening. I only get people on Sunday. I get the odd person on Saturday. Not one person stopped on their way home from work or came in after hours. I was there from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. People have worked all
we're
day.
such creatures.
Sorry.
I said, we're such creatures of habit here. It's hard to create something new.
We
every
are.
time.
We are. And traditionally, throughout Canada and the U.S., a Sunday is open house time. It's 2 to 4. That's when
Yeah.
it is. So think about your seller, right? There's a lot of work for them to get an open house ready. There's a lot of work. Don't do it just to, and I tell them that. You know, I'm not going to tell you I'm going to sell your house on an open house to make, you know, they're going to clean and vacuum and they're going to whatever. Some of them lay out cookies and coffee. I mean, they just, you know, it's a lot of work and they're excited and they can't wait for the feedback. And they come out and you say, yeah, I had one tire kicker through today. You know, and she spent 3 hours getting her house ready for you. Monica is saying about a resort area. Resort area is a little different. We don't have a lot of them around here. I know maybe down the South Shore, a couple places, but yeah, you do on the South Shore, absolutely. So, is this Monica Sontrop? Monica? No, Monica Whitehouse. Okay, I thought maybe you were Monica Sontrop from the Chester area. I'm going to go on my phone to listen while I drive. Sorry. Okay, no worries. So yeah, why I say watch what you say is that it might be a seller's friend, it might be the uncle. You know, you don't know who's walking into that house, and if they get a sense that you're walking in there to kind of pitch to pick them up as a buyer more than sell the property you're in, that's going to get back to your seller. So do your open house, ask the questions. I use the Ford approach while I show the house. I never stay in one room. I take them through the house and I show them things. As I'm walking through, I use the Ford approach, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. I usually don't bother too much with the dreams, but the first ones, oh, absolutely. And then throw in there, you know, are you in the market for a new home right now? What brings you to this place today? So there's no way if somebody, you know, is a friend or family member, they're going to think, look, all she wants to do is sign me up as a buyer. So, I mean, that's ultimately, you know what? That's what you want to do. It's one of the greatest lead generation tools that we have. And that's what it's always been used for. So don't kind of mislead your clients on that one. There's a video we have to play. All right, just let me try and get this video. Is it? We're out of order? Oh, okay. I think it's going to start playing here in a minute.
Hi, I'm Dave Gold, and I'm going to tell you 5 steps to holding a pet. Step 1, strategically select a home that buyers and sellers might. might be a home that is in a great traffic pattern, whether that be car traffic or people walking by and walking. Select a home around a local event. Bring an out-of-town people like stuff. Step 2, a local event advertising. Marketing in. By posting interviews. Get a sign in the bar. Let passerbys. Remember to contact both by phone and or phone calls. Don't forget to make it all from home prior to the house or not. Radius is
Oh. I'll try and figure it out.
One of the greatest first lines you can. Thanks for shopping. Are you one of the neighbors, or are you out shopping for a home today? Immediately, you'll know if you're dealing with a potential buyer or a potential seller. Step 4 is keep the right mindset and prepare. Remember, open houses are lead generation activities, so enter with the mindset of a top lead generator. Prepare yourself with comparable properties, market research, at least 2 or 3 other homes that you could potentially show should the opportunity arise. And step 5, always follow up with every lead that comes through that door. Call them, email them, write thank you notes that same day. A simple follow-up script to use directly after an open house goes like this. Thanks for stopping into my open house this morning. It was great to meet you. I did a little bit of digging in the office after we met, after the open house, and found 3 other properties that I think really fit your search criteria. I know the home that we saw this morning wasn't quite perfect, but these 3 have some real potential. We could get into them tomorrow at 4 or at 6, which would work better for you. Great, let's meet at my office and we can go from there. My biggest aha when doing open houses is remembering open houses are not a technique to keep current sellers happy. In reality, open houses are great lead generation tools to connect with potential future buyers and sellers. By using effective scripts and systems leading up to the open house and great follow-up techniques after the open house, you'll build a database of future buyers and sellers. Thanks for watching KW Connect and make it a great day.
Okay. Most of the videos are, yeah. Yeah, they are. If you go into Ignite, the KW University thing. Any questions on that video? No? Any ahas? Okay. And again, when you go to an open house, oh my God, this, do your homework. I forgot to mention this. Do your homework, for God's sakes. Know what schools are in the neighborhood. Know what, like, you know, these were things, nobody taught me all this stuff. I had nobody to train me when I first started in real estate. And, you know, I didn't know. I remember the first open house I didn't know a darn thing about the neighborhood. It wasn't my listing. I didn't have any, right? I went and sat in one where it was, you know, a top agent in the office, and I was given no information on the house. But aside from that, I didn't do any homework either. So more my fault than anybody else's homework. People come in and say, what school is it? I don't know, right? I didn't know anything about the neighborhood. So make sure you can answer the questions when they come up. So I'm not going to talk too much about open housing because that's going to be a course in itself. Leverage the internet. Many home buyers use the internet for open house information and social media. So does everybody have their own Facebook page, for business Facebook page? Yeah? Okay. It's really important that you do. You can link it so that everything on your personal page can go there. I don't. Mine are not linked. But you really should have your own. And Twitter's great for things. Took me a long time to learn how to tweet. I'm too old. I can't figure out Snapchat. Nothing about it. Yeah. Social media, using hashtags and stuff. Is anybody familiar with the site called Hootsuite? Hootsuite. Okay. Hootsuite is, oh, I see Henry is. So Hootsuite is a site where you put things on that you want, you schedule them, and they go out. according to this schedule. So when I first started using all the social media and that, I didn't have any assistants or anyone to help me do things. So I would spend on Sunday nights, I would do my postings for the week and I'd schedule them to go out. Think of the key times when people are on Facebook, okay? So you don't want to post something on Facebook at 9 a.m. Everybody's working. By the time they get home that night, that's going to be gone. It's going to be scrolled. There's going to be so much new stuff ahead of you. You know, schedule it. I generally try and schedule mine between 6 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. It's the busiest hours that people are on Facebook, LinkedIn, or whatever else that they're using. And use images when you post. Share a lot. When people see you sharing theirs, they'll share yours. So share a lot of things out there. Same with marketing a new listing. Same thing. You know, let everybody know it's out there. There's really nice ways to say congrats to my clients, blah, 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 on their new home. I think those are nice. But, you know, the posting on Facebook, yeah, sold another home today. Oh, gee, writing 3 offers today. I'm so busy. You know what? That's not going to get you. That's actually going to turn people off of you. So that's my opinion anyways. Do you feel that way, Taylor? You're just that.
For the most part, I run most of the Facebook stuff for us, and I'll just go on the Chronicle or CBC or just find an article that's relevant, kind of the Nova Scotia economy, or I was posting one the other day about construction downtown Halifax, how there's 10 new restaurants coming downtown this summer, just stuff like that, and I find a lot more people get engaged and people share it. People share your post, that's bringing more traffic to your page. Yes, and I found when we post our solds or new listings, hardly anyone looks at it, or like no one likes it or comments on it. So yeah.
Yeah, your engagement will go way down. And with Hootsuite, you can get reports. Do you use Hootsuite? Okay. So just sign up. It's free. And then attach it to you. So mine is attached to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Yeah, I think that's, and then any other ones, I can't remember, but those are my main ones. And like I said, you know, you're sitting there at night. E-Edge too, like use your E-Edge for creating groups. Anyone using the E-Edge for their database? I use it for my database. Anybody else? You use it? Troy uses it. The E-Edge is great for, you're paying for that. There's one agent that used to be here, and because she was on top producer for 15 years, she wasn't going to give up top producer. But she was paying for E-Edge, but I don't use it. It's a really, really good tool, you know, unless you know, and I say this with all respect, unless you know it's not going to be long-term with KW, maybe you don't want to do that. But, you know, if you're looking at this at long-term and you want the features there, when I first came over to KW, I'd spend hours and hours and hours on on the E-Edge site. You wouldn't believe the stuff I found. Hootsuite, again, Hootsuite will give you reports on how many engaged with you, which is a great thing. So like Taylor was saying, he's getting better engagements on the stuff, yeah, relevant to everybody. Yeah. So, so page 21. Oh, my goodness, what time is it? Sorry, guys. I've been blah, blah, blah. We can take a break. What, everyone want to take a 15-minute break? Is that good? Okay, let's do that. Hi, everyone. We're back, just waiting for the guys to come in. Is this back on? Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. Rock and roll. Okay, we're on page 21. Communicate with the sellers. Remember, you've told the sellers it's all about them, and you've promised them a 10-plus customer service experience. You have agreed to communicate in the ways that work for the sellers, once a week, once a day, by phone or by text message. So update your sellers regularly. My updates go out every 14 days. And then, of course, I talk to them all the time because I'm the appointment and feedback line. I can't stress that enough. Top agents with, one of the biggest things I hear from people after they've listed with a top agent or team is, yeah, I met the agent on the listing presentation, haven't seen or heard from her since, or seen or heard from him since. So really important. When you do, oh, it says be sure to block time on your calendar for this follow-up. So what I do is when I get a new listing, I have a sheet of the steps that I do so that I don't miss things. And so one of the steps in there is to put the updates in the calendar. So I automatically go in, my calendar is all color-coded, my client updates are yellow. So every day when I check my calendar, I say, oh, I have to do, for instance, today I have to do one on Lindenwood. So I will do that later today. To try and make one day of it a week is, it's okay when you've got 2 or 3 listings, but when you've got, 15, 20, 25 listings, you cannot sit on the phone all day. And to me, that's when I say about the fluff. So it takes me about 15 minutes to do a report. Sometimes I have 1 in the day, sometimes I have none. Some listings just happen to fall that they're both on the same day, but it tells me every day. So you don't want it to be, and that's what it says, I'm on page 21. It represents the covenant agreement that you have entered to with your seller. So great communication is not just about agreement over what you communicated, it's equally about agreement on how and when you will communicate. So when you tell your clients this is how I'm going to communicate like that. If you forget, let them know you forgot, or you were late for whatever reason. So if a client update goes out a couple days late, like it did for Spence on me, I did it on purpose because my day hit on a Friday. I said I'm going to wait till Saturday and Sunday, and I'll do the report on Monday because I want the weekend activity. When I sent it on Monday, I said, we're a couple days past our day, but this is why we are. So she was fine with that. Communicate what happens next, whether it's in a call or an email. You'd be surprised at the amount of sellers, they don't know what the next steps are. So, once you've got your offer accepted in your counter, whatever you've done there, then you let them know, say, and you use the word, I use the words, okay, what's going to happen next is the buyer's going to do their due diligence, or they're going to do their inspection, still on page 21, Taylor. They're going to do their inspection, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So let's get through that phase, okay? And then I'm going to send it to Laura, and then we'll talk about it. So now we've been through those stages, and you're constantly communicating on the conditions. And then you call your clients and you say, great, we're done conditions, we're sold. Okay, what's next? They don't know. They don't know what's next, so tell them. Okay, what's next? Now what we're going to do is we're going to, between now and the close, you're going to, arrange for your move, make sure you cut off your, connect your power and water, whatever. That's our next step, okay? And then and our next step is also going to be about a pre-close walkthrough. I'll call you in a couple weeks. So then in a couple weeks, you're going to call. And what I do is when I get a close, I know a deal is done. So when I put my dates in my calendar, I take my trade record sheet when I first write it up. Oh, sorry. Here, just a sec.
Do you refer moving companies and do referrals with them? Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I don't do it for any gain. I get nothing out of it. Yeah, I do it because one of the ones that I recommend all the time is Premier Moving and Storage, because everybody thinks don't go there, they're too expensive, but in the long run, they're better. You end up, and that was personal experience. I learned that one on. What's that? The reason they're better is oftentimes, so I was moving from, we had bought in Porter's Lake, so this is 4 years ago, so we're moving from Cole Harbor into a temporary one in Mineville for 6 weeks, and then we're getting into the one that we were buying. So the first move, I check all the rates per hour, and I got 2 men in a truckers, I don't know what they were called. Well, King's Moving, that's what they were called. Nice guys. Well, guess what? They had a cube van. Took them 4 trips with 2 guys. And then they didn't take half my stuff. Oh, we don't want to put that big TV in our, oh, you should take your lamps yourself. Well, I was floored. So in the interim, I met Jason, who owns Premier Moving and Storage, through a networking thing. And we got talking, and he said, well, here's the difference with us. So the first move cost me $1,300 with the cube van people. The second move cost me $980 with Premier Moving and Storage because they showed up with 1 truck, which was the right size. They came in to see, like Jessica came in, estimated all my stuff, brought their 1 big truck in, 3 men, completely loaded. Lamps, TVs, I didn't have to carry anything in my car. So huge difference. So share, but see, in my listing kits, I have Jessica's cards that I put in. And the other thing of what's going to happen next, tell them about the walkthrough. All right, now you've disconnected your utilities and that. So what's going to happen next is on the morning of close, they're going to call for a walkthrough. Your lawyer's going to call you a few days before. And I always say, like, because I do the next step. So I had a young buyer in Porter's Lake last year. It was like a week or so before the close, and I call her up. She was actually a buyer. And I was making my what's next phone call. And I said, all right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to schedule our walkthrough. The lawyer will get you to come in a couple days later. You've reviewed things. She said, no, I never heard from my lawyer. Now, she didn't go with who I recommended. She went with a family friend. He hadn't even read the agreement yet. It was 5 days before close when he got to it. Thank God it was an easy transaction, that there were no legal issues that come up with it, because we would have been toast. So let them know when they're selling or buying, when you're in the condition period and you've sent it to the lawyer, say to them, if you don't hear from your lawyer within the conditional period, will you call me? Will you let me know? Because a lot of lawyers are no news is good news. And I don't like that rule. I don't like it. So I send out a letter. It's called Calm After the Storm. There's one for buyers and one for sellers. They're awesome. Glenn McQueenie material. So, and any one of you can get Glenn McQueenie's material. Communication checklist, which is page 22. So ask them what their preferences are. I have a contact sheet, and I circle whether they like phone calls or emails or text messages. Match the style. In person or on the phone, always seek to match their communication. We talked about the disc the other day. Everybody knows what the disc is? Glenn McQueenie. Wendy, just send me an email and I'll send you my 2 letters. Glenn is an agent up in Ontario that does training. Once in a while, I ended up in one of his classes. So, going back to the disc, everybody knows what the disc is. If you don't know what the disc is, learn it. I talked about it on Monday. Dick Tracy, Lady Gaga, Barbara Walters, and Bill Gates. If you remember those 4 people, you'll remember the disc. So figure out who you're with. Are you with Lady Gaga or are you with Bill Gates? If you're with Bill Gates, you're going to be much more detailed. You're going to talk slower, and you're going to pause between finishing a sentence. So tonality is huge. Work on your tonality with people. They have, if you go to the family reunion, which is great, they have a whole class on tonality. Everybody knows what I mean by that. So when they say, how are you today? Well, I'm fine. And how are you? So big difference, isn't there? Oh, I don't know what happened there. We had a little bubble, little blip come up. Who did? Yeah, that was there. Thanks, I saw that one. You're welcome, Wendy. Again, always update. Updates should happen even when there are no new information to share. Remember, no fluff. Nobody needs fluff. Make the information that you provide relevant to selling their listing, okay? If you tell them you've advertised at someplace, make sure you can track how many views you've had. If I boost a Facebook, if I boost a property on Facebook, the sellers get a report that says we had 1,678 views. Here's the graph. Here's this. So make sure that it's not, that you can quantify. That's what I call it. Quantify your report to them. If you can't quantify what you're telling them, you're not telling them anything that's going to do any good to sell their house. Be prompt. Respond as soon as possible or on their expected schedule. If you tell someone you're going to call them and have a conversation about something and something changes, don't just not call them and then call them later and say, oh, I was tied up in a meeting. Send them a message and say, I'm tied up in a meeting. I meant to be on the phone with you right now, but I will be back to you before 5 o'clock today or before 8 o'clock tonight. Never talk down. Always communicate as a partner with your client. I love the word cohesive. Everyone knows what cohesive means. So use that in your listing presentation. If you don't know what cohesive means, it means to function as a team. So it's a nice word to use. Keep a log. It says maintain a communication log in your EH database. If I use the email in the EH, it keeps a log for you, but I'm not as prompt at that. I tried one time doing that, being really, really good in keeping a log, but what it did is it ended up taking up time, and it wasn't a business producing activity, so I don't do it anymore. But I make notes, so when I talk to someone, and I always know where my notes are, or I keep them in the file. Always include all decision makers, and always be enthusiastic and positive. So from when you're talking to somebody, even if you are talking to them on a phone, and you can completely change the way you talk just by standing up or sitting on a different stool or doing, I'm one for standing when I do presentation over the years, or you get in front of someone. Like years ago, I used to present to the president of Sobeys, Carl Sobey. So it was nerve-wracking. You didn't sit in a chair. You had to be up. You had to be high energy to be in there with them. So your high energy and your passion will show. All right. The customer will absolutely pick up on your passion for what you do. So any of you guys have any different values that you think we've missed here? No? Wendy? Is there anything you'd like to add? You've done a lot of listings. Is there anything you do that I miss telling people?
I think one of my claim to fame of getting the few listings that I do get, I do have a binder, and I will ask the seller if they mind if I take a photo of their home, and that's on the front of the binder with their information, and it seems to work for them. Also, I kind of, I start taking measurements of a few things, and then it's, oh, no other realtor's done that. Those kind of comments.
Nice.
So that's the two things that I do that seems to capture the listing.
That's nice. Yeah, it shows. See, that shows really high energy, like really confidence, and I like that. Anybody else? No? Okay. We're on page 23, and customer experience means something different to everybody. So what would you guys consider to be customer service? Like, what does customer service, customer experience mean to you guys? Does it mean, well, you guys are really quiet. Okay, Troy, just a sec, I'll go to Troy.
I'd say what's important is to focus on what the customer actually feels is important to them. And so if they want good communication, then focus on communication. If they don't want much communication, they just get my place sold and just tell me when you got a deal. And you know what? Don't start talking to them.
Absolutely.
Only call them when when you have what they want.
Yeah.
So just focus on what's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I tell people is that I'm a customer service professional that trades real estate on your behalf. And that focuses on the customer service part. So in all the years that we had our meat shop, you know, it's when people weren't happy, they let you know. So, you know, we had to excel at customer service, not just in our product, but in our service, that we could get these people to come back and have a good experience in our store. You want to do the same thing with your real estate. So you're a realtor, but you're a customer service professional, and you're trading real estate on their behalf. And that's what you're trained in to do. And they're like, again, they'll pick up on your passion. People will pick up on it. I've gone into listing appointments where they've said to me about a previous realtor that was in, it was just a job. Like they picked right up on that. It's just a job. I just want to sign the paper, and it just, you know, it's the road to a paycheck. You don't ever want your seller thinking that. So an excellent customer service experience will set you apart. So you can have satisfied customers or you can have raving fans, one or the other. But you also have to know when to kind of draw the line on too much, you know, doing too much for them. So always under promise and over deliver. Great thing to say. If you say you're going to, just what Troy said, if you say you're going to communicate once a week, communicate once a week. Say your staging expert will be in touch with sellers, make sure she's in touch with them. Follow-up is huge. One of the biggest downfalls in sales for any salesperson is their follow-up. They do not follow up. And again, be honest about being human. So when I lay out my program, I tell them 2 or 3 times during the presentation, you know, I am human. I do make mistakes. I forget things. I'm getting old. My daughter thinks I have dementia coming on. Right? But, you know, let them know, you know, because if you go in there and make it sound like I'm a super agent and I'm right on top of my game and I never miss it and I don't get a cold and I'm not sick and I do this and I do that and I do this, man, you're going to drop hard when one little thing doesn't happen. So set realistic expectations because you have a life too. I'm not one for believing to say no to an appointment just to be, which they teach you in bold. Even if you're not busy, say no to the appointment so you can show how busy they are. Does that make any sense? No, doesn't make any sense to me either. So, communication, yeah. So page 24, we're going to talk a little bit about things, but then we're going to watch a little video. Hone your problem resolution skills. Make it a habit never to communicate with a client about a problem without having one or more solutions to recommend. We talked about that earlier. Your clients are looking for you to be the expert to have the answers. Here's the big thing if you don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, but I'll get it and I'll get back to you. So get the answer and get back to them like you would. What kind of problems might arise that you can apply solutions to and be seen as the customer's hero? All right? What kind of turbulence can take place after you list a house? So after I list a house, I send them a thank you letter to thank for listing with me. And then I have what's called the Turbulence Sheet. And that Turbulence Sheet lists 25 things that could cause for a rocky road. And they get that in the mail. So, because nothing is ever going to go completely smoothly. And then develop staging resources who will help you with your staging. Oh, there's a video to watch. A sec, guys. You say go to the second one now? Or the first one? The first one, yeah. Okay, create a wow experience. Whoop, sorry guys, a sec. I had to press it again.
Hi, I'm Josh Bath, and I'm here to talk to you about creating a wow experience with your clients. Creating that wow experience with your clients starts right in the initial interview. When you're sitting down with them and you're listening to them and you're asking them good questions, that's really what sets you apart from the rest of the agents that just go in there and talk. The mindset should be not, what am I going to ask them next, before they even finish their sentence with you. The mindset should be, what are you saying to me? A couple things that I do to establish a really good wow experience for my clients. I tell them that a photographer is going to contact them. I tell them that a home stager is going to contact them. And after that's done, I follow up with them. And I ask them, so how was your experience with my photographer? Now, I already know that the photographer I've chosen is incredible. And they're going to deliver great service the way I deliver service. Except I get to use the service they use as an extension for the energy I'm creating with them in that wow experience. Once their home's listed, how I continue on with that wow experience, I just communicate with them almost every other day. And that communication is either by phone, by text, or follow-up on an email. The advice I would give you, if you're looking for a place to begin, I'd sit down with a notepad, paper, in a quiet place, and just start writing out naturally in your mind everything that you do from the moment you've sat in their living room to the moment you come back to the office and handed the file to your assistant. How are you communicating with them? What are you doing? These are all incredible steps to communicate back to your seller, because normally they don't know what's going on. And if you're telling them what you're doing, you're helping them remove some of that fear and building confidence and trust in you, which is exactly what creates that wow experience. For people thinking that they need to do something big and as a result never doing anything at all, go back to small. It's not about being over the top and big. Sometimes wow is just following up with them when you said you were going to follow up with them. Or it could just be as simple as paying attention to some of their needs, like they don't have time to cut the grass. Maybe you might hire someone to cut the grass. That'll blow their mind. And for you, you can hire a local neighborhood kid. That doesn't cost very much. Little things like that, though, go a long way for referral business and creating a customer for life. Wow experience.
That was a nice video. Anyone have any comments on the video? Yeah. If it's, yeah, like if it's a little thing like that, or if they have a question about, and then you don't know somebody that would do something for them in their house, and same thing if you say you're going to do it. I sign up my listings. I have 3 or 4 listings on my desk now that they're signed, because I won't send anybody in before they're signed. So they're all signed up, and now they're in the process of their staging and getting their houses ready. So Lisa's been in 3 of them so far. So after Lisa's been in, I talk to Lisa. I then call my clients and have a chat with my clients and make sure that everything is all right. And sometimes they'll say to me, I didn't like this, or I didn't like that, or there's this said or that said, and you got to talk to who's ever doing your work for you and say, next time, maybe this or this person took it this way. Because they have to learn how to communicate too. Communication tips. Back probably about 25 years ago, I was in a meeting, and I'll never forget this, and I was in a meeting. Carl Sobey was the president of Sobeys at the time, and I was sitting across from him. I was probably 32 years old. Of course, you're young and you're nervous, and he looked at me and he said, whenever you want to sell me something, set yourself in my chair first and say, what's in it for me? And when you can answer that question, you can sell to me. So I never forgot that, okay? What's in it for them? So do your presentations like that. So sincerity, be honest and reliable. Understanding, focus on their needs, their wants, and their values. Predictability, deliver what is promised and expected. Exceptionality, provide the extraordinary and uncommon. Responsiveness, report quickly and reliably. So anything on that? Any questions on communication tips? Providing super service forges relationships with customers that are on the foundation for growth, including repeat business and referrals. Stay in touch with your sellers using the touch campaigns and e-edge. They're great. But you pick up the phone. We talked the other day. I call all my past clients. They say Merry Christmas every year. I'll call. Oh, hi, Sean. I'll call them and say Happy Spring. What do you got planned for the season? You want to be their real estate sales representative for life. So I'm gonna go over to Taylor. We're gonna play a little game. So Taylor, I'm making a point here about something. So Taylor, name 3 types of toothpaste.
Colgate. Companies, brands?
Yeah.
Are there any more? I only use Colgate.
Okay, just a sec. Anyway, Troy, give me 3 brands of toothpaste.
Colgate, Crest, and Aquafresh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, and there's Sensodyne.
3 come to your mind.
Yeah.
The way the human mind is set up, from a marketing point of view, you can only retain 3 of any brand or of anything you're talking about. So it's called being top of mind. You want to be top of mind when you're out there looking for business. So the relationship is bigger than one transaction. Any questions? Okay. Really quiet group today. Oh, geez, now I said Sean, he's gone. I'm starting to get a complex here. So we can't break into groups because we don't have any groups actually right here. But I have a basic listing presentation, and part of the class is kind of going through it and incorporate what we've learned and kind of practice it. But like I said, we don't have enough people in here. But I really, really encourage everybody to go into e-edge, find your basic one on the basic e-edge package. If you can't find it, call them and see where it's at. I looked for it yesterday, I couldn't find it. But it is there somewhere, because when I first started, I did not have the Pro, and I found this. So it is a great template to have, and then personalize it. But this is, if you don't have one. And again, if anyone, you want your listing presentation to be engaging. I don't know if you remember the other day I was saying I went out with a new agent, Keller Williams, one time, and I told her to write it and practice it. And then when we went into the house and I was sitting next to her, she read it word for word. She read from the paper. Never engaged with eye contact or anything with the client. So that's why it's really important to personalize it and internalize it, practice it, and read it. The 14-step marketing plan, if you take them out, call it the Wendy's 8-step marketing plan. Call it whatever you want. Just make sure the things that are in there are what you're going to do. I'm flipping through the listing presentation for those of you that can't see me. Taking open houses beyond the basics. You'll learn that in the open house class. Price it right to attract buyers. Pricing your property competitively will generate the most activity from agents and buyers. There's all kinds of lines that you can learn. Go under Sellers Mastery. I think I talked about that Monday, didn't I? Sellers Mastery. Okay, that's somewhere in the KW thing. It's been years since I looked at all the stuff, so I apologize. I don't remember. Come into the office, take a couple hours, pull the binder out, and flip through the binder. Have you done that, Troy? Do you know where the binders are? That I'm talking about? Yeah. So there's 2. Okay. There's 2 binders. One's called for sellers and one's for buyers. Come sit in the office. If you can't come sit in the office, find out where they're at on e-edge. When you can't find things on e-edge, just call their helpline. That's what I do. They're quick to show you where anything is. Flip through those. For instance, when I first came to KW, I had an older gentleman, and I had to tell him what the offer was on his house, and I knew, man, am I going to be in for it when I go to this guy's house. He's just going to blast me. He's an older German guy. And so I went right to the back room and grabbed the books. This was in our old office. And I flipped through, and there's a section about basically bringing bad offers to clients. And there were some lines in there. And I went in, said what I learned that morning out of the book. I've used the line ever since. And it's not personal. It's just business. That's all it is. They're not doing anything more for their client than I would do for you if I was the buyer's agent. So let's negotiate this on a product, not your house. Okay? Boom. Mr. Schmidt said okay. he poured me a glass of White Tower wine. I'm not kidding. It was pricing misconceptions. What you paid, what you need, what you want. Great sheet. Great sheet. Even if you only take this sheet, it's perfect. What you need. Has anybody ever heard the line, well, I need this so I can buy that? I need to get this for my house so I can buy that house over there. So essentially what you're doing, and you're going to explain this to the seller, is you're going to say, would you overpay for your next house so that the sellers of that house can then buy a bigger house? No, that's right. So a buyer is not going to finance your next home purchase. And that's what you're asking them to do by getting more money for your house than it's worth. Yes, hard copy binders are available to view at our office. They're right back in the photocopy room, Wendy. And the actual scripts are online. I think Aaron knows, Aaron's really familiar, I think, with all this stuff, more so than, it's been so many years, I just don't remember. Definitely good read. What your neighbor says, oh my God, how many people have gone into a listing appointment? Oh, but my neighbor says my house is worth this. Have you? Yeah, I was talking to my uncle, and he sold 12 houses in his life, and he says you're priced wrong. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. And there's nice ways to say it to people about how, respecting. And I always say when I have to do something like that, I completely respect his perception of value of his house, of your house. A little bit of a personal side in there because he's watched you turn into this beautiful home over the years. So he, again, has a little bit of an unrealistic value that's not based on the numbers. And the numbers don't lie, right? We've already talked about the numbers. So this is a great sheet. Use this sheet. I highly recommend it. No, this is in the listing presentation. There's a cost to rebuild today. I don't use that one at all. Price ahead of the market. That's telling them what market we're in. You're going to do that at the first part of your presentation. What kind of market are we in? Are we in a buyer's market? Are we in a seller's market? Are we in a balanced market? All right. We're still in a buyer's market right now. May tip into a balance. I'm not sure, but we're at least heading that way now for the first time in 4 years. And so what I say to them is I say, there's a seller's market, balanced market, and buyer's market. And if I tell you your home is worth between $289 and $299, if it's a seller's market, we're going to put it at $299. In a balanced market, we're going to put it at $295. In a buyer's market, we're going to put it at $289.9. We're going to price ahead of the curve where you're not going to sell. Sound good to you? And they sound good, everybody? Right? I'm just checking the time so I don't keep you guys 10 after 11. Oh, we got lots of time. Price it right. Time on the market works against you. So like I said, when you have these it's funny, time on the market. Talk a little bit about that, because just because some people will say, oh, I can get that cheaper because it's been on the market for a year and a half. Maybe it's on the market for a year and a half because the seller has such an unrealistic expectation of what his house is worth, he's not willing to take anything lower. So that I'm a little bit disagreement with that line. Or the house is overpriced, so don't change the price, change agents. Really, that's the one I said that I chose not to renew. New agent, new price, higher. So changing agents, and I bring that up in the listing presentation. Changing agents doesn't get it sold. Changing the price gets it sold. Price competitively, the first 30 days are critical. Explain to your seller how buyers get alerted to programs. They're following on Viewpoint. They're following an area, or they're set up with a realtor. That's the biggest one. They're set up with a realtor, right? So as soon as a new property comes for sale in your neighborhood, guess what? They're going to get an instant email that it's out there. So the first 30 days are critical. The first 14 days gives you a lot of information, does not give you enough information to make a price change. I don't believe it does. anyways. And we talked about the other day, I think it was Lynn was in here, about bring an amendment and get signed at the same time. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because that's what you're doing is you're saying to them, well, look, I'm gonna put it where you want for 2 weeks, but I really don't believe in it, and I'm not gonna try and get it. Richard said he liked the amendment? Terrible. No, but it is. It's absolutely terrible. How would you feel? That's, yeah, here, just a minute. I'll come over just a sec.
Yeah, I guess I'd feel like you're telling me that I'm wrong.
Would you say that's talking down to a client?
Yeah.
It's talking down to a client. So, and I mean no disrespect to the teacher from the other day. I absolutely do not agree with that. Okay? Because how do you know? Just a sec.
I was going to say, I said, you wouldn't disagree with a client if they think it's worth $250 and you think it's actually worth $230. You're just going to say, okay, great.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm not going to say it's great. They're not going to. Okay, here's the thing. If somebody wants to price their house $20,000 over market value, is that a good investment of my time and my money as a listing? No. Right? So no, I'm not going to do it. If they want to try, so I listed one. My number was 239.9, and Jean Rene won. Can we go 245? Can we go? At first he said 249. I said no, that's a little bit too high. I think we can do 244. You know what, JR? Why don't we try that? Let's see what we can do, and let's check our numbers in 2 weeks. What if his price was right? What if it worked? What if we checked the numbers and saw that they were perfect? Now I've told him, I don't agree with you. I'm 100% sure you're wrong. So sign this amendment. We're going to reduce the price in 14 days. Is that working for your client, or is it? It's not fiduciary. To me, it's not fiduciary, right? So got my 2 cents worth on that, didn't you guys? So, and again, the first 30 days are critical. What are your numbers? The numbers will tell the story. I don't know if I told you guys about the one on Burt's Lane. You know, I know location's going to be it. I know location's going to kill us. But also, with all the hits and the phone calls, I took the pictures of the orange rec room out. It was orange. I took them out. I've had 2 showings since I took them out. I haven't had a showing in 3 weeks. I had 2 showings in the last week. No orange rec room. Of course, they saw it when they went in there, but got them in there, didn't I? Because they might have seen something else with the house they really like. So, price. And again, pricing your property competitively, you're going to show them, again, if you do a good CMA, really do a good CMA, take your time, the number will reveal itself to the client. You're not going to, I tell my clients, you'll be able to tell me, before I turn the last page, you'll be able to tell me what number's on that page. And most of them do. The numbers never lie. The numbers never lie. Also, when you're pricing your property and you know it's, you want them to get a realistic view, and you say to them, you know, as a buyer's agent, I'm bringing a buyer around and I see listed on an MLS something that's not worth any more than $230 and it's on for $250. So first of all, I probably will miss it because I'm not looking that high for this particular client. But if I do happen to see it, I look at it and I say, geez, that house shouldn't be any more than $230. Either the seller believes it's worth that, or the agent believes it's worth that. Do I even want to take this on? No. I just flip past it. Right? So, and I tell my sellers that. Do you want people flipping past? Or I'll say to them, you know, when, and I say this in the listing appointment, I say, you know, I'm going to take a buyer out, and I tell them, you know, a nice house. It's probably about $20,000 overpriced. This is kind of where I think they're coming from. Now, you can choose to go after this and overpay for the property. It's up to you. No one has ever said, Brenda, I'd like to overpay for that property. What do you think a seller says when you tell that story to them? It's absolutely true. Any questions? So the other line that I told you guys the other day is the one about, what do you think your house is worth? The throwback, what do you think it's worth? And that's when you give them what I told you the other day about, we're going to take what you believe it's worth with your emotion and everything. We're going to take the market stats. We're going to push it up as high as we can and still keep it in the market, not on the market. And that's how you get that number out of your seller. So the primary goal, if you choose to list with me, this is the last line of my presentation, the last page. So my goal, our goal together, if you choose to list with me, will be to sell your home for the highest dollar possible in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassles to you. And then you come right out and you say, would you like to list your home with me? End of class. There's a few more pages, talks about closing on this listing presentation. You know, I won't go through every single page. I know we're done a little bit early today. Is there any ahas that people have had from today's class?
Brenda,
Yeah.
you said an awesome line, and I would love to use it, and I didn't get it. It's, like, what do you think your house is worth? And we're going to take what you think it's worth and add the emotion. Could you repeat what you say?
We're going to take all the unique features of your home, your emotions, and what you truly believe it's worth. We're going to roll that together with the actual market stats. And we're going to push that up as high as we can to get you the most money for your house while keeping you in the market. If you're on the market, you're floating way up here. We need to keep you in the market. So what do you think your house is worth?
Okay, that's good.
Any other ahas? Well, there's Tori saying the line about when you get feedback. The most important question, what can we do to entice an offer? Is there anything we can do to entice an offer out of your client? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, right? And I'm really, Wendy, I think you've gotten feedback from me on showings of your listings. I'm totally upfront on feedback. I don't know.
Yes, you are.
That's our job as professionals with each other, right? I don't want fluff from another realtor either. You know, if their client didn't like the house, they didn't like the house. Doesn't hurt my feelings.
And you know what, and Brenda?
Yeah.
You were dead on, too.
Thanks, Wendy. That's that house we were out in Porter's Lake you're thinking of, aren't you? Is that
That's exactly the one.
yeah. Anything else? Did anybody else have any, Henry or Janice? Any ahas? No? So just the next part, I guess, putting it all together. If anybody, you know, at any time would like to come in the office or book me for a one-on-one, give me a call. I'd be happy to go through this Keller Williams one with you, jazz it up a little bit, make it entertaining. And that's it. No more questions? No questions, guys?
That's an awesome offer, Brenda.
Yeah, no problem. Just call me, Wendy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was very helpful today.
Thank you.
Very helpful today.
We're good to go? All right, everyone, have a nice weekend. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.